Have you been to any Java interview and the interviewer asks a famous question, what is a singleton design pattern? Where exactly have you seen singleton being implemented? Most of the times people say it is just one instance and one global point of access to it. If the answer is just 2 minutes, then why the senior engineers get stripped for this particular question? I'm going to teach you 5 different implementations of singleton design pattern in this video, and I'm going to tell you how to attack a singleton design pattern and break it. You want to know? Let's get into it. In the last video, we have discussed about what is a design pattern and what are the 4 components of the design pattern: intent, problem, solution, consequences. In this video, we're going to discuss about what is the intent of the singleton pattern, that is what is the singleton pattern meant to do, what kind of problems it handles, how the solution is provided, and its consequences. This is one of the best videos I can say I'm making. Now, I'm also going to talk about Joshua Block's verdict, which is the best implementation of singleton design pattern. Okay, let's get started. So, what are we going to get as part of this particular video? 5 implementations of singleton pattern, the problem with thread safety, the different types of attacks which you can have on a singleton class, and what's the benefit of Spring framework with respect to singleton. Okay, let's get going. Now, what exactly is the problem we are trying to solve? Now, look at this particular code. There is a class called ConfigLoader, and in the constructor we are trying to load a config file. Assume that that config file is of 4 MB. It looks fine, but when you start getting performance issues and you do some kind of profiling, you will find that this particular class is been called maybe in 12 different classes. So in 50 places of your project, when the application boots up, this particular constructor gets called. So this becomes heavy, correct? So you need to be very clear that typically a config file contains the database properties, the email configurations, the project configurations, etc. Now they are not supposed to be hanging on in several objects. It might get into leakage of your application. So I guess we need to fix this particular kind of a problem. So how do we do it? For this particular problem only, you can say a singleton exists. Now, what exactly is the intent of singleton pattern? What singleton actually promises? It ensures that a class has exactly one instance. That means this config loader class cannot have more than one instance. It will have only one instance. So whether you call in one place or 10 place or 50 places or 1000 places, nowhere that many objects are getting created, only the single object is getting created. So what exactly is a singleton design pattern is create once and access always. So we should have a method which basically returns the same object once it has been created. You can say that's one of the simplest way of implementing it. So as I promised you, right, there will be 5 way of implementing it. So let's get going. So I have designed a simple logger class. Okay, as you know, configurations, logging, etc. are some of the best use cases of singleton pattern. So I'm trying to use couple of scenarios where we can get into it. So imagine there is a logger class. Okay, and let me create an app class too. Fantastic. So I can actually all, so basically what am I trying to do? I'm trying to say logger is equal to new of logger. Okay, Let's create it as 1, and let's create one more object, and then say logger1 dot log. Let us check this. So yeah, of this is a log message 1. Similarly, we can actually create another log message via, let's say, the another object. Now if we say if logger1 equal to logger2, then we'll say system dot out dot println, and then we can actually say same instance. As you know, double equal to checks for references, right, not the content. Else you can actually say system dot out dot println and then say different instance. Now when I run this particular program, you get the log messages, but you get the output as, guess, different instances. That means we are creating two different objects of the logger class. Singleton pattern defeated. We haven't started only, right? There is no purpose of defeated. Now how can you make this particular logger class foolproof so that it can have only one object? So I'm going to come up with 5 different implementations of Singleton design pattern and see how we can actually break it. Okay, now the implementation 1. I wanted to tell you something, let's declare a variable called static and count. Let's declare a static object itself, logger, and then say instance. Now what are we doing? We are creating an object of the logger, object reference of the logger inside the logger itself. That means logger object will maintain its own object, and if it is not created, it will be created once, and if it is already created, it will keep returning the same object. That's the technique. So in order, so basically let's have a constructor and increment the count. The reason is, if the object is, let's say, first object you created, the value of count increases from count to 0 to 1. So next time you can check the value of count and find out whether one object is created or more than one object is created. As I was mentioning about a method for global point of access. So that method is this method, public static logger get instance. And what we are actually trying to do is, we are going to check the value of count. If count equal to 0, that means the logger instance is not yet created, right? So we can actually say instance is equal to new logger. So when are we creating an object? When their instance value is null, or when the count value is 0, and then we can actually say return instance. This is the explanation of Singleton design pattern. And remember one thing, if you have got 10 million Java engineers, they all have stopped learning Singleton design pattern at this level only. And I wanted to give you 4 more implementations of Singleton design pattern, where I'm telling you one thing, you do a good job in answering Singleton pattern, 5% chances are there that you are going to get a job, as simple as it is. So let's learn the other 4 implementations. Okay, now before that, let's test this out. So we will actually go back to our app Java, and instead of saying new logger, we can actually say logger dot get instance. logger dot. So what exactly is a get instance? Get instance is a method which provides access to the logger object. What is a logger? It is a singleton implementation. Okay. Now what is going to be the output? Hooray! It is saying same instance. What do you mean by it? That means that whether you put the logger dot get instance in one place of the project or 150 places of the project, it is going to create only one object. So if we do a singleton implementation of ConfigLoader, no matter how many places you call get instance, the config loader gets loaded once. Huge performance benefit. Huge performance benefit. So that's why you need singleton. You know one thing, should be a bug in you in improvising your code. You should always have a bug in you to improvise the code which you write. You should not be satisfied. You should be frustrated. So if you are frustrated, if you are not satisfied, you will become a better coder. Now what I was thinking is the default value of count is 0, right? Now can we get away, and not have the count itself? So let me comment it out. Let me comment it out. Oh no, what can I do? Hey, you have the instance value, right? So instead of checking if the instance value is, so instead of that, you can say instance is equal to null. See, yes. Okay, or you can actually see, okay, so when you're, okay, this is one of the best implementation I can say so far as far as the implementation one is concerned. So what is happening is, let me run this project first. It's working, yes. Now please try to understand, first time you call logger dot get instance, first time you got logger dot get instance, and then it checks, oh, why to code, right? Why can't we debug? Why can't we debug? Now we can actually right click here and then say debug as Java application. Please wait and continue watching this video. The reason is I'm going to give you 5 way of implementing singleton pattern. This is for you, I'm telling you, you should get good marks, you should get a job, you should do extremely well. So you can actually see the control came to the line number 6, logger dot get instance. Now I will get inside the get instance method. Okay, now let me check what is the value of instance. You see, instance value is null. So for the first time it gets into the if condition. Now the instance object is getting created. Now if I place my cursor there, now it says id is equal to 24. That means an object has been created. That means an object has been created. Now what we do when we come to the next level, let me get inside the logger dot get instance method. Now is instance is null? No, instance is not null. So when we come here, it skips the if method and it gets back to the same instance. So that's the reason it returns the same object. Now you see logger 1 id is equal to 24, logger 2 is equal to id is equal to 24. You create a million logger objects, it's going to be id is equal to 24 only. That means it is implementing the singleton pattern. That's how the singleton pattern is implemented. See, now if you're checking the references, and then it is actually saying same instance. So ever wondering, you want to know how it works, do debugging and find out. Now let me clean up the code because we already found a much better implementation of this particular thing, right? Yeah. Now let me go back to the normal implementation. Now, which is the second implementation of the logger class? Now, what I'm going to do is, okay, now, let us first understand that if you want to do application wide logging, if you want to do centralized configuration, if you want any connection to be shared or in memory caches and all, Singleton is the best fit at it. Just because you wanted to share an object across many files or across many JSPs, please don't declare that as Singleton. Singleton is not a candidate for sharing data across all the different files or objects, etc. Okay. Now, one thing which is very, very important is the cost of this kind of implementation, right? What is the cost of this kind of implementation? Now, how can you become a good developer? See, I can say I'm a good developer. The reason is I wrote with the value of count. I felt that count is not needed, so I kind of quietly removed it, right? So now the second bug comes, how can I improve this code again? Now, what is happening is this particular code is good, but it is not thread safe. What do you mean by not thread safe? Imagine two different threads calling get instance at the same time, correct? Instance value is null, two different objects are getting created, right? That's the problem. So, in a multi-threaded environment, this singleton implementation doesn't work. So, you need implementation 2. So, what exactly is implementation 2? Make it thread safe. What did I say? Make it thread safe. How are you going to make it thread safe? You're going to add synchronized keyword. So, what is the benefit of adding synchronized keyword? Two threads won't be able to access this method or won't be able to call this particular method at the same time. So what happens? Imagine the first thread tries to get hold of get instance. Everything works fine. After that, what happens? There is a log getting created. Getting it? And further that, as long as the first thread is running, okay, if any other thread tries to get hold of the get instance method, that thread is suspended. What do you mean by that thread being suspended? That thread is removed from the scheduling queue. That means if this particular thread is running, other threads are going to, you know, be suspended. So it's actually not the right way of implementing the singleton pattern, correct? The synchronization has a lot of cost involved. It is because the lock is getting created. Imagine you are calling get instance method 10,000 places, lock, lock, lock. Imagine for the next 10 years, lock, lock, lock. This is actually not correct. Now there is an improvised way of coding it. Now instead of locking the whole method, you can actually lock the whole block. So you can actually say here like this, logger dot class, and create a block. I think this is one of the best way of thing. The when you give a synchronized keyword to the get instance method, the whole method gets logged. So even though the instance has been created, the return instance will not get called. But if you implement using synchronized block, then what happens is, if the instance is null, right, then only the lock is happening. And how many times the instance will be null? Only once. So it's a far more way of much improved code than giving synchronized keyword. But you know one, JVM, this is not enough. So what it actually tells is, it actually asks you to create a volatile keyword. The moment you provide a volatile keyword, JVM will ensure that this whole thing works fine. Okay. Otherwise, JVM might execute a piece of code in some other thread, etc. Okay, now this is by far the implementation number 2, much better implementation. But you know one thing, there's a lot of cost to it in terms of thread safety and and all kind of things. So you know one thing, there is something like attack, attack, attack. You know what? You write a 4 lines of code. You check whether I can actually improve or not. The second thing is, if I can improve it, is it thread safe? Is it good at memory? My goodness. But you know one thing, I can easily break this code. You know how? Let's go for it. Now let's go to app.java and and let us say logger logger 3 is equal to logger dot get instance. Sorry, we can actually say new logger. Now imagine a third object getting created. Now if this program runs, that means a third object is getting created. So what is the bug in this particular code? You need to make the constructor private. The moment you make the constructor private, what happens is there will be a syntax error. When there is a syntax error, you are easily trying to tell that boss, inside the class I can create an object, outside the class you can't create an object. So the only way to create an object is calling get instance. Get instance. So this is the implementation number 2. Now what I will do is I will actually take you to the third way of implementing this particular class. So let me do it one thing. I'll actually give a comment here so that you can actually understand me. I don't want, so what is that? Implementation number 3, okay, of the logger class. So you can actually use a static inner class to implement it. How? You can actually see. uh So you can actually say public class logger, okay, and then you can actually have a public logger as a constructor, make it private so that nobody can access it. Now you can actually, sorry, let us declare something like private static class holder, and there let us create the instance like static final logger instance is equal to new of logger, and then you can actually say public static logger get instance, and then here you can actually say return holder dot instance. Let's make this capital, it looks good. Okay, so this is one of the best way of implementing a singleton design pattern. One of the reason is JVM will ensure that this particular code gets called only once. Okay, so when I come over here, what what is happening is, yeah, we need to add this method, right, the log method in our code. So I can actually say that, huh, so technically this is our implementation number 4. So you can actually see this is one of the best way of implementing singleton pattern. I can actually say that. So use static inner class. So this particular implementation has no thread safety issue. Absolutely, because I'm not creating the instance inside the get instance, whereas I have actually doing it inside a static class. And when the static class loaded, it gets loaded by the JVM initially only. So it's actually getting called once. So this is one of the best way of implementing singleton design pattern. There is another way also. Okay, there is another way also. I would say, let me comment this. Actually, you need it, it's really helpful. So you can actually define an enum and implementing it. So you can, and remember who has picked this. The author of Effective Java, Joshua Block, suggests that this is one approach, which is the best approach. So what we will do is we'll say public enum logger. Got it? And then we will create something like an instance. And remember one thing, there is no get instance also needed over here. There is no get instance needed over here. So yes, these two things will give errors right now because I'm not using the get instance style of creating it. So what is the next style of creating an instance is this. You can actually say logger dot instance dot log, and then say this is a log message 1, and then this is a log message 2. No matter how many places you wanted to call it, this just works. Now this is one of the best way of implementing singleton design pattern. Are you getting it? This is recommended by Joshua Block. Now I wanted to prove uh, yes. Now there is something like everyone. Now please see this. What is written? There are two ways to attack. There are two ways to attack a singleton object and make sure that it is actually not working. You want to see how? Let me let me show this to you. I'm doing it in the same video. I could have done it in another video, but if you are having patience and if you are listening to me, then this is the most important information you can actually have. So let me do one thing. Let us comment these two. Okay, now I'm trying to go by my get instance style of coding. Okay, so I'm going to come here and I'm commenting this fellow, and I'm opening the comment of this. Hmm. Let's do this. So imagine this is a implementation, right? I can actually tell you there are two ways in which you can actually break it. Okay. Now come back to so one of the ways you can actually break it is using reflection. Now please see this particular slide. How a singleton stops being singleton, right? You can use reflection to break it, or you can use serialization to break it. Now I wanted to try reflection. This is, I really love it. Now what I'm trying to do is, okay, so it is not letting you creating a new object, right? I will make sure that it creates a new object. Now check this on. You say you can actually say constructor, okay, and then you can actually say logger c is equal to, you can actually say logger dot slash dot, you can actually say get declared constructors. Okay, so it is going to get access to that constructor. Now I can actually say java.lang.effect done. Some no such method exceptions and all is done. Now you can actually say c dot set accessible to true. Now what you did, it was a private constructor. Now you say I'm making it public actually by saying set accessible true. Now I can actually say logger x is equal to c dot new instance. Oh no. Okay, now let's say logger 3. Maybe you will get it, right? And you need to implement that instantiation exception, right? Exception handling. Now what are we trying to do is, we're going to say logger 3 dot, so let me write, if logger 1 equal to logger 3. Okay, now you can say system dot out dot println, and then you can actually say same instance. Else you can say system dot out dot println, and then you can say different instance. Wow, I'm eager actually. I'm really excited. Second one, it says different instance. That means this itself has opened my eyes. I think I've got more than 30 years of industry experience. I've really never cared about it. For most of the years, I was sitting on my success, saying that I know Singleton. But while preparing this particular video, it actually gave me a big slap, saying that RK, you don't know Java, don't know Singleton. There is still lot to learn on you. So you can actually break a Singleton implementation via reflection. As you can see, different instances and output. The the bug of curiosity will make you an architect in Java. You know one thing, there is one more way of breaking this particular Singleton implementation is via serialization. You know object serialization, right? You can actually say something like object output stream OOS is equal to new of object output stream of, let's say, c colon test colon logger dot txt. Okay, logger dot dat I will create. Now I can actually uh, import this, and yeah, now here I should say new of file output stream. I'm just freaking out. Okay, so let's have some fun. Now, when we have decided to hack it, no, let's hack it, right? So you are trying to import it. Now this you have to throw some exception handling, file not found exception, etc. Now what you can actually do is you can say, oh, sorry, yes, you can say oos dot and then you have write object and let's say logger 1. Okay, so and then you can say os dot close, etc. So what have you done? This is serialization persisting. So in order to do serialization, here you have to say logger implements serializable. That's about it. So you have to import that fellow. It's a marked interface. That means, yeah. So now you have actually, when I right click and run the application, I'm just checking if I don't have any errors. Okay, see, I should be as comfortable uh, coding in before you as I generally code. Now let us actually say object input stream is is equal to o is equal to new of object input stream of new of file input stream of the same dat file. Import. There is another bracket which I can actually take it out. Now I can actually say logger 4 is equal to, I can actually do some kind of a typecasting os dot read object. Add the throws declaration, class not found, exception, etc. You need to be extremely good at exception handling, correct? Now I just wanted to check if logger 1 equal to logger 4, correct? If logger 1 equal to and then you say system dot out dot println and then you can actually say same instance, else you can actually say system dot out dot println different instance. My heart is beating because all the hard work will go for a toss if I get same instance as an output. No, I really want to know, right? The best way to know is in front of you only. Hey, I think I should clap myself. I should tap it in my shoulder also. See, I actually hacked Singleton implementation pattern twice. One using reflection, you can actually see one using reflection and the other one using serialization. So please be aware that your Singleton class is not safe. It can be easily hacked via reflection and serialization. But Joshua Block's suggestion of implementing it as an enum, right? You JVM will never create another enum instance in life. Okay, so if you want a foolproof Singleton implementation, like I'm hitting the table, I'm telling, okay, is declare an enum and then that's the best thing. I really love this video. Did you love it? Please subscribe to code. I have created, I've just changed my, uh, I just wanted to launch my YouTube channel again. So what I did was I've renamed my YouTube channel to Architect Design and Code with RK. So if you want to learn about how to architect enterprise applications, design and code, you can please subscribe to my YouTube channel. And I'm going to be technology agnostic too. I code in Python, I'll code in Java, I code it in Spring, my favorite Spring framework, Spring Boot. We're going to have a lot of Spring microservices, etc. Please subscribe to my channel, and be part of my family actually. Thank you very much. I really appreciate you being part of this particular video. But let me actually also check about it. You should let me do a quick recap. You should never use singleton just because you want a class, an object to be shared across multiple files. No, don't do that. Now let us take up 4 interview questions on singleton. Why is Enum Singleton thread safe by default? The answer is the JVM guarantees enum constants are initialized exactly once during the class loading. No extra code needed. Enum Singleton, the best. What actually breaks a classic singleton? Reflection and serialization. I showed it to you. Both bypass the private constructor unless explicitly guarded against. Is Spring at the rate service is a real singleton? Yes. Now Spring framework is a blessing for us. Without even writing one line of code, singleton, you get singleton. If you say like this, if you say in your code, if you say at the rate service, that is a singleton. So whenever you write a Java code where you have at the rate component, at the rate service, at the rate repository, on top of the clause, the annotation, please make sure that that particular class is a singleton class. But the scope is still the application context, not the JVM. When you would not use singleton, when the class might legitimately need multiple configurations later, or when global state would hurt testability. So these are the 2 reasons why you won't declare the classes. Thank you very much for attending this particular YouTube video. I really love doing it. Hope you loved it. Yes, it was little bit lengthy because I had to show 5 ways to implement singleton pattern, right? What is singleton? One instance, one global access point, not just a static field. The best way to implement singleton is enum because it is thread safe, reflection safe, serialization safe. Wow. Spring already gives you per container singletons for free. So rarely write this by hand. Don't write it. Global state is a real cost. Use sparingly. Prefer dependency injection. Correct? So it says that don't use get instance, don't use new, etc. Use Spring's dependency injection. Spring framework is the best framework. I also conduct weekend courses on Java's full stack development. If you want to learn about Spring Boot, Kafka, microservices, anything, please reach out to me. My WhatsApp number is over here. Okay, I don't charge much. You can come. Thank you very much. Bye bye. All the best.